What's going on, guys? Real quick before this video starts, I want to let y'all know that I just set up a new Twitter account. It's nurse_bass, same as my Instagram. Be sure to go follow me on both. Stay updated with what I got going on in my life. Hope y'all enjoy the video. What's going on, guys? It's Nurse Bass coming at you today with this wonderful video I had gotten a request to do about a month or two ago from Lovable Sade or Lovable Sadie. I hope I didn't butcher that name. And she said, can you do a video of what you are learning in fundamentals and test taking strategies for those dreadful select all that apply questions? So what I did is I put together 3 tips for you guys. Really it's going to be geared more toward nursing school test questions as opposed to specifically select all that applies, but they pretty much apply to all test questions. So here's tip number 1. What I want you to do whenever you sit down and they give you that test, I want you to pretend that you're on a highway, on an interstate. And I want you to pretend that traffic is just backed way up, right? And you're sitting in the middle lane and you got cars on both sides of you and you ain't going nowhere, right? So whenever you start going down the road a little bit, there's no way that you can turn around to like get off on an exit ramp and go back where you came from. That's how you have to approach these test questions. Whenever you move on to a new question, what just happened behind you, you can't go back to that question. And the reason why you should do that and just focus on the question at hand is because that is the way that they gear the NCLEX to be. Whenever you're taking that NCLEX and you select an answer on a question and you hit next, that question's gone. It's history. There's no going back to it. And that's how you need to approach these questions on these tests. Now, there was some study done, and I can't remember the exact percentages. It was pretty significant, though. Some percentage of students, whenever they miss a question on a test, they tend to miss the second and third question after that. And that's because their minds are still on that question that they were unsure of, the one that they first missed. Their minds were still on that one, and they were still thinking about that while they were trying to take the next question. And you're just killing yourself if you do that. So you really got to focus on the question at hand. Take that question and that question alone. You cannot go backwards. Keep that in your mind. Tip number 2, and this is the biggest one, guys. You got to listen to me when I say this. No ifs, ands, or buts. Okay, what do I mean by that? For instance, let's say you get a test question and the question states, you get to the hospital for the start of your shift and you go into your first patient's room, and when you first walk in, your patient is not in bed like they're supposed to be. They're lying on the ground, okay? And they can't breathe at all. Their lips are a little cyanotic. They're turning blue in the face. As a result of the fall, they've cut open their leg and there's blood on the ground. And what is the nurse's first action? What do you do first? We would think that a little blood on the ground is not as big a deal as a patient being cyanotic at the lips, turning blue in the face, they can't breathe. That is the priority. But here's what we tend to do.
But what if my patient's hemodynamically compromised? Isn't that a bigger deal? But if my patient's on heparin or some anticoagulant or antiplatelet, isn't the blood a bigger deal because they're going to bleed out, you know?
These kinds of things, we do it. We all do it. We all have done it. It's just the buts, the what ifs, you know, that we do. And we can find a way to make 2 + 2 = 5 if we really want to. Another thing that really kills people are like people who already have jobs in the medical profession or have before they went into nursing school. They tend to kill themselves as well.
Well, but in my experience on my floor that I used to work on, you know, this is how we did things.
And then you start bringing your own personal work experiences into the question, and that really kills you. That really screws you up. The biggest thing that you have to keep in mind is that these test questions aren't real world. You know what I mean? They're based off of like utopia. If you don't know what utopia is, it's like the perfect society. It's based off of like, if everything were to go perfectly, what would you do in this particular situation? So whenever you start bringing like work experiences into your test taking, it's when you get yourself, because that's like whenever they're preparing you for the NCLEX, that's what the NCLEX is. It's all based on utopia. And so you have to be able to answer the questions in that manner and not necessarily bring what obviously would happen in the real world into the testing environment. My third and final tip for these nursing test questions would basically be eliminate the wrong answers. Have you ever heard somebody say, a nursing student say, I've never taken a test where, you know, I've approached a question and every answer is correct, but there's only one right answer. You know what I'm talking about? I know you've heard that. And if you're in nursing school, you've experienced it. You have to basically eliminate the wrong answers. So whenever you approach a question, let's say it's not a select all apply question, it's just a normal question, there's going to be 1 or 2 that are probably, like, you can say these things are definitely wrong, right? But there's going to be 1 or 2 that are probably definitely, you know, they look like they could be correct. So why it's so important in nursing school to study very diligently until you know this material is because nursing is not black and white. It's very gray, and there's a lot of critical thinking that goes into it, and that's why you have to really study hard and be able to retain this knowledge and then apply it in the real world. So to recap, pretend you're on a highway, approach each question as they come, and do not go back to the previous one and mess yourself up. No ifs, ands, or buts, ladies and gentlemen. And do the whole process of elimination thing. Eliminate the wrong ones, and then between the 2 or 3 that you have left, use that knowledge and that critical thinking that you have because you studied like a boss, and select the correct answer. Guys, I hope this video was helpful. Leave a comment down below if it helped you, and leave a comment down below if you have any suggestions for test taking tips that I did not mention. As always, I appreciate you watching my videos. Like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll catch y'all in the next one. It's Nurse Bass, soon to be.